Let's do it.
Hello there. Hello, Mr. Willis of GOTO fame. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Simon. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm grand, mate, actually. Really, really good. As good as you could be, obviously, in still what's quite a difficult period, isn't it? So you don't want to be...
It looks like lockdown's treating you well. So what's I know there's a lot of people waiting for the barbers to open, so I don't get you're going to be down there. I get the feeling we're going to see a mohawk or some kind of statement.
Well, you're one of the few people that's seen me shaved, and that sounds like an absolutely hideous hideous description there. But just to point it out that was for charity, wasn't it? So anyway,
that one was
that one there, not the hotel room. Okay, cool. Welcome to everybody who's joining us as well on the various places we're streaming through to. I can see we've got Gary Hardy. Hello, Gary again. Sarah, you're on board, and I'm sure we'll have others in there. As ever, if you feel like asking a question, as long as it's clean, I will ask it there. But we've got as I said, the fantastic guys from GOTO here today to talk a little bit more about their service, and specifically, Alex. The bit I like about your title was control more sales and significantly increase your income with GOTO. So you didn't feel you could undersell this. You thought you had to go to significantly increase your income, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's, why hide the truth? That is the fact of the matter if people engage with us in the right way. So hopefully I can paint that picture today.
Lovely. So basically, if they don't make significant amounts from you, it's their fault, and they're the idiots, yeah?
Oh, I mean, if they follow our process, then absolutely should happen.
I don't know what happened to the client was always right, but anyway, never mind that. Let me just see if I can share a screen here, Alex, because I think we've got a very brief, just sort of overview document, haven't we? Let's just have a look. Here we are. So I'm just going to share this up on the screen. Can you see that okay from your point of view there? Let me just...
yeah.
Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. So obviously,
absolutely.
We're going to come back. Look, I don't want us to talk too much about the concierge bit straight away. Let's detail the services, if that's okay. And then what I'd like to understand is once we look to the individual services, how that ties together with the concierge sort of element that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And to be fair, there's 3 slides which I will quickly sort of whip through, but because of the fact we operate a number of services, if I just were to list them without any sort of visual aid, then I just find this paints the picture again a lot better. So these slides are important to share because these have stayed consistent since we launched the business in January 2016. So these have been the same slides that we've been using for 4.5 years. And the reason that we started the business and operated the concierge service was that we felt the moving process could be quite fragmented. There's obviously multiple things for home movers to arrange, multiple relationships for estate agents to have. And I feel that image there encapsulates the amount of things that obviously they have to remember to refer, but also remember to arrange and home movers have to as well. So what the ethos is behind what we wanted to do is shown on the next slide in terms of the blue sky thinking, which
Sorry, Alex, just before we move off that. So what I'm looking at here, obviously, is a kind of almost an underground map, isn't it, of the complexity around the whole home moving scenario here. And obviously what you've tapped into is that there is a lot of different things going on for the punter to control. And what you're trying to do, as I understand it, is help out with all of those, with those different strands anyway. Is that right?
We're trying to streamline and simplify the process for a home mover, having to deal with one company and one sort of person, one phone line, one system to deal with their moving journey. And obviously this is encapsulated by what we do here, because myself, I last moved home in 2015, and just from my own personal experience, I sort of used the mortgage broker that one of my local football mates knew. The estate agent didn't want to sort of recommend anything to me, rather frighteningly. So, a survey, didn't want to know. Solicitors sort of left us to our own devices. So I was having to find out things through Google, search my own way around it. So this was obviously before I started at GOTO. Saw it firsthand how complicated that journey could be, and also, you know, you don't know the level of quality provider that you're engaging with, whether the cost is competitive or not. So what we've got here is that we sit as a sort of concierge person for the estate agent and the home mover, and we can help arrange every element of the moving journey for them through the experts on the panels that we offer. So we have now 7 property services that we operate under the concierge service, under the same platform. And then obviously we're always looking to adapt and evolve them, but we've sort of released them one by one and evolved the concierge process to the point it is now from when we launched in January 2016.
So could you talk us through, just give us a really brief overview of those individual services where you can help out agents and indeed the consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we launched the survey service first, and that was because we were very aware of the banks doing a lot of desktop valuations. So people moving home wouldn't necessarily get anything for a survey through their lender. So we've allowed agents to refer to arrange an independent survey for their clients, and that's a survey purely for the benefit of that person, for their eyes only, and not conflicting with what the bank's going to say. So we, you know, for us that was quite unique at the time, and for the market. So it allowed us to get into a lot of great businesses, great estate agents who didn't have that revenue stream and that offering in place, and it allowed us to work with some really good agents that might have had in-house surveying practices, but couldn't service their conflict of interest work, or people that would move out of area, so they're sellers on their onward purchase. So we've sort of tapped into a fantastic revenue stream for agents with that service that we launched first. And what that then allowed us to do is, you know, we launched our conveyancing panel. So our owner, Nigel Hoth, and myself, we've got good conveyancing background. So we've got a conveyancing panel that encompasses 15 core firms, and agents are, you know, agents are allowed, you know, able to get digital starter packs as part of that journey. We've just released fast track conveyancing as well. So fast track conveyancing allows us to instruct the legal pack up front. And what that allows us to do with a clean transaction, we can get that property exchange ready in 28 days. But worst case, significantly bring that transaction time down through some of the things that we have in place in our proactive panel management. So that's something that agents can earn very well from as well through the relationships we've got. We've got really competitive firms that they can build their fee on top of. Our mortgage panel is extremely unique. So rather than being able to compare lenders on a panel, we have just over 250 mortgage brokers covering the UK, and we can filter that panel according to the client's requirements. So distance from client, distance from agent, average loan size that broker deals with, you know, average number of products they sell in, their fee. So some are fees free, others charge a fee. And then we've got specialist brokers that deal with buy-to-let only, self-employed only, adverse credit. So what we do there is, rather than sort of think, you know, what best rate is it? Or, you know, a lot of agents we speak to have a broker either in-house or they refer to, but usually, you know, they'll fall out with them at some point, or the conversion rate isn't as high as they need it to be. So what we do is we can fit the right client with the right broker and make it a competitive panel. So the service is of the highest level, and we're continually monitoring, taking out, adding brokers to that panel if the agent wishes to as well. And then if I suppose the other core, we've just launched our second wave of removals within the last sort of since lockdown kicked out. So we've got a panel similar to what we do with surveys of BAR regulated removal firms that cover every postcode in England and Wales and Scotland. So what we can do there is we've got technology that allows us to send a link to a client, a home mover, to walk us through their property, tell us what they want to take on the move, and then we can send that video to our firms that cover that area to then directly quote for. So the firms love it because they don't have to attend and do a site visit, which often costs them 250, 300 quid. They're not paying on SEO for those leads because we're bringing them ready-made. And that, again, is a unique service that we've launched that our agency partners absolutely love and have a need for. And then I suppose just on the final sort of core product that we offer, our online auction service we launched in January 2019. We'd sort of surveyed the market for quite a while leading into that and built the technology for it. And we sort of within 12 months, we've sold close to 550 auction properties. And that is something, a part of our business that grew significantly through the lockdown period because of, the fact that we could still generate interest, sell properties and do that kind of thing through the lockdown period. So I think I've sort of touched on those in quite a lot of detail, but those are the sort of the core products that we offer and a little bit of background behind all of those.
It's easier to ask what you don't do, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think, if I was just talking without these screens, the sort of visual learners amongst us might look at that and go, well, yeah, I understand that. And to be fair, you've obviously got to give the detail behind the service because there are a lot of USPs and unique points to them. But essentially, for an agent referring to us, it is an incredibly easy process, and they can get a referral over to us in sort of 1 to 2 minutes to allow us then to pick up and talk about these things. So from their point of view, they don't need to know the complexities. They need to know how easy it is to refer and essentially earn a few £100 for a minute's work. I mean, there's not many things that you can get that sort of level of pay for that limited.
Not legally.
I mean, I didn't want to jump in there. You're right.
So, could you just highlight again to me that dynamic about the surveys when there's a conflict of interest? Because I know you do have a number of clients, obviously, that do their own surveys, but they still come to you. Just talk us through that. Why they need to do that?
Yeah. So there's some fantastic agents out there. People like Andrew Grant, Pygott and Crone, Greenslade, Taylor Hunt. People that have their own in-house surveying practice.
Yeah.
Usually, usually those departments won't be able to do a survey on the property that they're selling.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, is there a conflict of interest there? So what we're able to do is bring their surveying practice onto our panel. So they can receive reciprocal work from us from other sources that might fall into the areas that they cover. But we can send their conflict work, the properties for when, for their buyer buying one of their properties into our panel to have another surveyor covering that area to service. So that generates them that revenue stream. It cuts out the conflict of interest and it feeds them more business into their surveying department from other sources and other introducers that we've got available. So it's quite a popular angle.
Yeah, and I can see that because obviously there are a lot of those larger ones that do have their own departments, so it makes perfect sense, obviously, that you can fill that void for that niche there. By the way, that was a great little name drop of a few clients there. Very, very, very impressive. I'll pat you on the back for that. Talk us through then. I mean, one of the things that I imagine you get challenged with is, look, you're doing so many different aspects of the service there. How can you possibly specialize and be good at all of those? So when you hear that, what do you say to that kind of accusation, that question?
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, I can completely see why people would raise that as a point. I mean, I touched on our owner Nigel at the start of the webinar. Nigel was a mortgage broker for 20 years. He also set up a surveying practice called United Surveyors and ran that for 11 years. As well as a conveyancing panel that he previously operated as well. So from his point of view, he's got really good experience in 3 of those key parts of what we offer. And, I think we've got a really fantastic way of panel managing the experts that we're working with. So therefore, the experts are the solicitors on our panel, the sort of mortgage advisors doing the mortgage work. We're sort of panel manage them, and we've got really good knowledge and experience on the products that we're offering and how to maximize referrals. But the experts are the ones that we've chosen to be the best in business and generate and do the work. So, from that point of view, we've made it incredibly simple for people to refer. So I know that I've spoken to, agents over the last few years. I know that business owners find it frustrating that their negotiators, their staff don't maximise the opportunities that there are to refer and earn from these ancillary services. So we've made it incredibly easy, whether that's them proactively referring or through our sort of numerous CRM integrations that mean that we can take that risk out of it by allowing sort of a referral to come over at a click of a button and sort of not relying on them to remember at every key point in the journey. So, I think just, we are the experts in terms of referrals, touch points, how to maximize the income. And we've got some fantastic experts on our panels who service the work and can sort of answer any of the sort of more legally, technically minded questions that people might have as well.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I encourage everyone to have a look at your GOTO page on the Kerfuffle website, because actually one of the little known tabs along the bottom is actually integrations, and you are one of those partners that actually is quite prevalent and is proactive in terms of there. Do you want to just recap as far as you can do in terms of those CRMs that you've got on board at the moment? And I imagine there's other ones coming on board as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got an integration that has sort of progressed 3 or 4 times with Repeat. So we've got a really good integration with those guys, and we're one of the sort of we're one of the initial alpha partners on their foundations platform. So we've got something in the sandbox. I'm trying to use these words now as if I know what I'm talking about, but yeah, we're going to be we've got again a really simple and effective integration with Desres, so that works well for them. They're sort of partners, and there's another 2 CRMs that we're sort of building that functionality with at the moment as well, that I won't mention because it's not available, but there'll be names that people know as well. So I think from that point of view, the integration is always the thing we're trying to get to, making it with agents, if they can control what we do but via their CRM platform and through one sort of place, then that seems to be the preferred outcome for them. And we're not precious about them having to go into our system and see everything. We'd rather give them what they want.
That does happen a lot, doesn't it? I remember in my day where there was often a bit of a conflict between, suppliers like your good self and the CRM package. The CRM packages always wanted to be seen to be owning the relationship and have people log in. And likewise, of course, you're building your brand and you have it, and so people would want to log in. And that was often quite a frustrating sort of tit for tat argument as to who kind of owned the interaction. So I think that's a really good, mature way of doing it. If you don't, if you aren't precious about that, as long as the client's getting what they want, that's a nice open view.
Well, I think it works both ways for people, because from our point of view, we, and I've said this to you on numerous occasions, that we could probably do a better job of marketing ourselves and shouting about the things that we're doing and the great news stories that we're seeing every week in terms of our partners and what we do. But a lot of the time we are the white label partner, and we don't sort of have our branding. We appear as the agent in a lot of ways. Yeah. And I think, at the end of the day, I know that people and businesses will spend a lot of time on their tech and putting together systems and platforms, and they probably want people to use it, see it, and sort of shout about how good it is from their side of things. So, we just see whatever's going to work for the introducer is key, the agent is key, and we're not precious about how we're seen or what we do, as long as it works, the process works, and the business is there. So that's kind of always been our standpoint, that side of things.
Excellent. And although, and I think that's great again, because you are touching there are so many touch points. It makes sense to have that reinforced systematically with the system. So that's great to hear. But just as an aside, whilst you want everybody to use as many different services as possible, you don't mandate that they have to, do they? They can pick and choose. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. So they can choose to use us for all or any of the services. So, effectively, it is a bit of a pick and mix approach. We do appreciate that people have their own relationships. They might own their own broker practice. They have things in place that they're very, very happy with. So what we always say, look, if you've got an existing trusted partner that you would like to open up to add to our panel, then we're flexible to do that. And we've done that with many people, where we've added solicitor firms, we've added their broker to the panel, and we want it to work for them again. So at the end of the day, when people can have that flexibility to add who they want to use, but if they don't want to use us for 2, 3, 4 of the services, just want to use us for surveys, just want to use us for conveyancing, then they can do, absolutely no problem at all. But we do feel that the more services that people use with us, the more they can control that sale, coming back to the title of this webinar, and the more income they can generate from it. So we would always recommend it, but we don't mandate it, of course.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting aspects, and we said we'd talk a bit further about it, so let's look at it now. And you know, you talk quite honestly there about sometimes people don't actually know just how much you do. I definitely think one of the biggest, almost like secrets about GoTo is that concierge element, which is weird because actually people, you know, they hear you talk about it. But can you talk about how some of the clients actually use that as an instruction winning tool, how they actually portray that out? Because I think it's massively powerful to be able to talk about all these services that you have in your kit bag and presenting them not as a kind of, you know, being seen as, oh, well, we're making money out of this, but actually seen as a benefit. I know myself, okay, I'm probably that minority of people that just signs up to everything. But talk us through how your clients who get involved in the concierge element, how they use it.
Yeah, so we have people doing and using it in different ways, and it's really interesting to see how people do adapt and use it. And obviously, we try and take some of that best practice into other partners when we're onboarding them. We've had you know, agents that will wrap up a higher fee and say that the fee includes their solicitors, includes another couple of services to sort of wrap up a bit of a bundle approach and try and win that business. So instead of them charging £2,000 as a sale fee, they might charge £2,999, but it includes your conveyance and it includes another product as well. So yeah, quite interesting seeing people use it that way. I think what we're sort of moving to and adapting to is creating bundle options for people. That's the next wave of what we're doing to sort of utilize more of our services in a bundle route. And that will involve discounts on survey and removal at the end of the process, as long as they opt into a couple of services front end, like the conveyancing, for example. So that will be to come, and that will be something that we'll release and launch in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks. But I think, you know, if people are going out into the living room, what we do with our services, we try and work on touch points, and we try and get people to refer clients at an earlier stage in the journey. So whether that's on valuation or newly instructed to market, or, you know, viewing, offer made. So we're effectively trying to earn our partners more income from buyers and sellers that might buy through other agents rather than just their core transactional buyer and seller. And what that means is that people can go to a valuation and say, look, you know, we can put you in touch with our home moving partner, and they can talk to you about every part of the moving journey and give you a full cost of moving. And I think that's quite a powerful tool for people to use that in the living room. And it's definitely feedback. The feedback I've got is that it's an instruction winner for them in a lot of occasions, because people like the ease of having that one contact and being and in reality getting a transparent, or, you know, almost transparent cost of moving at the outset. Because a lot of the time people will go into it with a bit of ambiguity about, does this include everything? You know, how do I know I'm paying the best price? You know, it's a bit of a minefield. So we see the majority of people use it in that way and just pitch it in a really good, efficient way to try and make people think, well, that's a fantastic, you know, it's definitely worth a conversation.
Yeah. So not to be contentious, but it's true, very true that, you know, you have many clients across all demographics, but you actually have a lot of the online agents as well. Again, it might sound a bit contentious, but do you think is it true to say that the online agents are more comfortable selling that concierge service, selling that package, or would that be a wrong guess?
No, I mean, absolutely right. And, you know, the sort of the online hybrid agents, you know, these guys we've worked with for a long time. So as I said, you know, with us launching the service in January 2016, you know, we were effectively launching with Purple Bricks in May that year. So within 4 months of being a startup, and we've developed, you know, that relationship's been fantastic for us, and hopefully for them. And, you know, we've added sort of Yopa to that, and we work closely with those guys as well, and work on a couple of services with House Simple as well. So, you know, what we find is that, you know, a lot of the time they've got a sort of, you know, an outbound call team, or they've got their processes in place to sort of be able to deal with the volume, talk to people at the early stages, and sort of, you know, almost work off a pitch at that point. And so therefore what we can offer completely makes sense for what they can do. So, you know, those have been really key important relationships for us. And, you know, at the end of the day, they've always promoted the fact that they want to get the customer service right and do what's right for the customer. And that's allowed us to sort of develop what we do and learn from what they want on volume scale as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, we've taken a lot of best practice into what we do generally and how we work with our independent estate agency partners as well, who have also, you know, looked at things different ways as well and given us some fantastic ideas about how our process, how our sort of proposition can adapt as well.
And I think that one of the big benefits that people obviously get from that is the sheer numbers those guys put through gives you scalability, doesn't it? Because any larger business as well coming to you, one of the problems is a lot of suppliers can be very good for a single office agent, but actually they start to struggle if you throw a lot of business at their way. So having those big players that you've got across the board really gives them confidence that you can step up and deliver without any drop off in customer service.
Absolutely. And to be fair, we're very strict and stringent in terms of collating customer reviews. You know, we've taken that as best practice of what those guys do. So we collate net promoter scores from our conveyancing clients, for example, at the end of the process. You know, we look to get reviews from home movers, clients going through our journey. And off the back of that, we obviously get valuable feedback if there's anything we need to improve on. But the pleasing thing is we often see, you know, very high scores from what we're offering. So yeah, I mean, it's you know, that's something that we've really pushed on and developed on with the, you know, from what we've learned from those guys as well.
I think we did a video of you previously, actually, when you showed us you were moving into your new office there, and actually we did touch on net promoter scores there, and yours were off the scale, to be fair, weren't they?
Yeah. So it's you know, it's generally seen by, you know, Amazon, ASOS, you know, there's some, you know, Starbucks. They use it as a sort of the most genuine kind of customer feedback score that they can try and gather, and it's a one-liner question every time. It's how likely would you be to recommend this service to family and friends? And people will obviously, you know, be as honest as they want at that time. So, you know, we've sort of very happy with the score that we've got, but there's obviously room for improvement, and we'll always try and sort of improve until we get the absolute optimum score.
That's the perfect corporate response there. That's look, you know, when you came on this show that you were going to come to the home of quality content and news. So let's deal with a couple of the questions now and go to the most difficult one of all. Obviously, Graham Wilson pointed out that you had a tab open with the search engine Bing. I can make out the first part of the question. Can you ask him what the question was? Graham, you will notice I closed down that screen now because it was actually my search engine.
Don't you could have stitched me up there, Simon, but I'm glad you pointed out it wasn't my screen.
Yeah. What would it be? Can you please get Arsene Wenger back? You don't have to answer that, by the way.
We're not talking football with you. You're obviously in cock-a-hoops with what's about to happen in the next few weeks. So,
how relaxed do I look? I look relaxed.
You're staying in your house, though, yeah? You're not going to go and celebrate near the ground, are you?
Do you know what? I've just had delivery today. 6 smoke bombs. So whether I'm out in the streets or in the garden, it's gonna go off everywhere. Anyway, this is a serious show, so let's get back to it. Gary Hardy, hello Gary again, is a great way to simplify what is a minefield of options for the consumer and easily fills the gaps where agents don't have in-house services. So I know he's obviously concurring there with obviously what you're talking about, and I know obviously Gary had many happy clients at Repits. You know, who would have been feeding him back that information and working together on that to get all things right. So he certainly knows what he talks about. But he has a follow-up question, which is, hi, Alex, are there set payments for the agents for each menu item? And is there an uplift if multiple are taken? That's a good question. So how do you support the agents in tracking referral progress?
Yeah. So the agents have access to our platform. So we obviously register the agent and obviously they can track referrals. So they can track progress and see notes from our side in terms of how the calls have gone. And then they can see which have instructed. And once they instruct, they can see a case tracking element behind, you know, their conveyancing case. You know, we're integrated with the solicitor firms on our panel. So we're getting real-time updates in terms of when they're updating their system. And again, the mortgages, we've got a case tracking system which the brokers update. So to be fair, it does give them a really good picture of where the transaction is. And that leads me to sort of reiterate that the more they then use us for, the more services that the agent uses us for, the better they can sort of have a picture of what's happening in that transaction, because they can see every element and where it's at the time.
So that's interesting there. So I mean, I understand the concept behind that, but you've got the individual elements in your dashboard. Is there a combined view that enables you to kind of see key elements from that as well, or do you always still need to drill into the individual services?
The way it's set out is that it's on an individual basis. So we'll have a tab for conveyancing, tab for mortgages, tab for the other products, and they'll sort of go in and see that. But generally, with the way a transaction works, obviously, you know, the initial part will be the conveyancing will obviously be ongoing. The mortgage will be generally ongoing. You know, your EPC and floor plan will be sorted up front. Your survey will be done in a short turnaround time. So there'll be elements that are obviously closed off in the process that you don't need to check. And generally, the consistent one will be keeping an eye on the conveyancing, mortgage, and just having an idea of where it's in the transaction from those two tabs.
Yeah.
I think Gary touched on obviously the amounts that people could earn per product. I've just seen Joe Robinson pop up, so we'll leave his question for a minute.
As usual, our watchers and listeners are after the tough question, which is basically they're just obsessed with what that search engine was showing. Anyway,
yeah, I'm glad that that's going to be the key take home from this this chat we're having. So just in terms of breaking down the income amounts, I mean, in terms of the EPC, floor plan, conveyancing and auction elements of what we do, the agent can have a flexible earnings option where they can be in control of what they earn. So effectively, for the solicitors, for example, we have a base rate amount that covers the legal fee for the solicitors, and then the agent can build on top what they want to earn. So, you know, we have partners that are, you know, earning from anywhere between 100 to sort of 450 quid per case. So, I mean, generally, I'd say on average, 200, 250 is the amount that we see most of the time. And then the auctions is a sort of, you know, we obviously want to try and ultimately sell these properties. So we try and set the buyer's premium at a fixed point and recommend an amount that will knock the buyers off from proceeding with that property. But effectively, the agent's in control of what they want to set to earn at that point. So that can be whatever they want it to be. In terms of the surveys, that's £100 plus VAT per survey order. Removals generally are between sort of 50 to 75 quid a move. And then the mortgages are a percentage of the overall case fee that broker earns. So that includes insurances, broker fee. So effectively, those sort of larger loan amount area will earn more from it. I'd say on average, we'd probably see an agent earn, you know, 300, 350 quid per case, per mortgage case.
Okay, that's very impressive. Just as a follow-up there, you touched on it a little bit, but apart from the financial aspects there, is there any benefit to those agents working with you on multiple services? I mean, I'm imagining actually they align and support each other quite well, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just simplistically, I don't know why I chose to use that word. You know, there's many benefits to the approach. Obviously, the control element is the fact that the more you use, you can control that journey. It's incredibly easy to refer multiple things. So, you know, agents, when we first launched the business, they weren't they weren't necessarily making income and having income from surveys, removal, some of the things that we offer. So by having those on the same platform as your standard conveyancing, your mortgages, it prompts people to refer them over and make sure they're not missed and that income can be maximised. And I think, you know, the moving journey for a home mover going through that process, I mean, we've got numerous testimonials from people that have used us for all products, and from their point of view, it works incredibly well, and it is a bit more of a stress-free, you know, element, the fact that they're being spoken to and just almost be having their hand held through that journey. So from that point of view, the process works incredibly well. I've done a case study recently on what we should earn an agent if they were doing on average 30 sales a month.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And broken down by service using a number of different sort of calculations, if they were tapping into all of the services we offer and using the touch points that we recommend, then a 30 sales a month agent should be earning just over 20 grand a month from our ancillary services. So, you know, suddenly that's on top of the sale fee, and that suddenly becomes a sort of £250,000 income stream for that agent just from the ancillary services that we offer. And to be fair, that's based on an agent earning 250 quid for the conveyancing. You know, so, you know, there are people that can build up those amounts further and potentially even more.
That's really interesting. Do us a favour, do share that with us if you can do, and we'll build a blog around that for anyone who's interested. That's a really interesting dynamic.
I'll share as well. I put together, it's almost like copying your white paper element, Simon. I don't know where I get these ideas from. There's a flyer in terms of maximising how to maximise referral stream and incorporating all the services that we offer. So I can share that as well to circulate as you wish.
We'll send that out on the mailing list. That'd be really, really good. So yeah. So look, I mean, one of the questions I was going to say is how much extra revenue can an agent expect to earn from a partnership? But I think you've hit on that really there.
I think just on that calculation, it worked out as I've just done. It worked out that they should be earning an additional £670 per sale.
Wow, well, that's a standout. That's a standout stat, isn't it? There, so that's the one we'll share. That's the one we'll share. Okay, that's fantastic. You will have good like just every supplier. You will have great agents that use every aspect of your business. They do it well, and then you'll have others that for whatever reason aren't hitting those high figures. What level of hand holding do you give? What account management support to help move those guys from to good to great?
Yeah, okay, great question. I think we I mean, in terms of, it's worth noting there's no cost to use our system, and there's no cost for additional training and ongoing support. So we will onboard people and get them set up on the system, and then effectively we want to work as closely with our agency partners as possible. So often when we're in a normal, it will involve going and doing on-site training and sort of having people away for sort of an hour and a half just to sort of do some initial training on how to use the system and a bit about each service we offer. And then that will be an ongoing thing where we'll sort of develop their knowledge of what we do to mean that they're a bit more self-sufficient rather than just refer and sort of leave it go, which is absolutely fine because we can obviously pick up on those conversations. And then, we've got a remote training team. So we've got the ability to share screens so we can, on an individual basis, set up time to go over the system, go over the sort of the proposition with people when fits them. I think this works best. Obviously, you talked about people not necessarily, if they're not maximising the income that we're talking about here, the best clients that we work with are the ones where the top of the business owners believe in it, embrace it, and sort of pass on that message. So the staff know that it's something that they want to happen in the business, and whether they're being bonused on it, that's a really key one, or whether it's part of their figures. Once we have the owners buy-in and staff they know that they're being sort of effectively targeted on it, then that will lead to the results that we see. I think, we've had partnerships before where we sort of work our way into a business and sort of through a few weeks of just trying to get a foot in the door, and it's almost like let us go and just see what we can do without actually getting behind it. Some of them have worked really well and we get great relationships with the staff from the off, but generally we want to see that buy-in from top down to really maximize what we can do with these businesses.
It's a critical point, isn't it, that sometimes, with suppliers, you can sign up, you think you've done the hard bit and you sign up the principal, and then actually the results afterwards are deflating and not expecting, not what anyone expected. And that's because obviously it sounds obvious now you say it, but you need to engage the staff who obviously are so engaged in actually generating the referrals themselves.
Absolutely.
So you work hand in glove with those as well, do you, to make sure that they are comfortable? I know you do, because I know obviously we've got mutual clients, and I know you've had many different sessions to make sure they are completely comfortable with the proposition.
Yeah, and I would say that, the agents that work with us on more products will obviously spend, we'll sort of spend trying to refine that process because there are more things to try and get your head around, but also there's a bigger opportunity for both sides. The remote training team will obviously be available. We're open 7 days a week, so there's always someone that can get in touch with our team if they've got a question. But we're also proactively getting in touch, seeing how their week were, how many sales last month, and just getting a feeling for technically what their agency's performing like versus what referrals and income we're generating them. Because realizing that we're nowhere near the levels that we should be getting, if they're completely immersed in it, then we'll be able to pick up business owners and just have those conversations and say, look, this is a missed income opportunity, and also you're not sort of servicing your clients as well as you could do by controlling that journey for them.
Yeah, but the critical thing you said there, as much as when we're back in the real world, as it were, you'll be able to do face-to-face meetings, but actually there's no barrier to getting on board with you at the moment because those Zoom calls can still be done just as effectively, can't they?
Absolutely. And to be fair, I've been on calls throughout the sort of lockdown and beyond period. So, I think it will form part of an initial meeting with people moving forward, sort of assess whether it's something that we want to move on to having a more formal meeting and putting something in place for that business. So, I'm available for Zoom calls. My team are available for calls like this at any point. We can get people registered in a matter of, 30 minutes to get them live on the system and get referring. So there's no barriers at all to people using us as of now.
That's not true. I've tried you on a Friday afternoon, and you're as difficult to get as I am.
You're definitely not trying me on a Friday afternoon. You're off.
So again, just to talk about the quality here, Gary makes the point. He thought you were going to do a politician classic. I don't know whether he's saying you're like slimy or anything, and avoid the fee question, but nicely explained. So cheers, pal. So
I think that was probably less a slight on me. It was more on the fact that most people might avoid that topic, but I went for it.
Yeah, exactly. No, you answered the tough question. And Joe Robinson again. By the way, this is a man in a ginger glass house here. He can talk about other people's haircuts. Have you seen him? He looks like he's at a Game of Thrones at the moment.
Of course, I've seen him. I mean, you've seen his video testimonial on the Kerfuffle site that's now live alongside many others.
Oh, well segued, by the way. Yeah, that is. I mean, to be honest, we do make a lot about it, don't we? A lot of review sites are, let's be a bit honest, a bit bland, and as important as text-based reviews are, I don't think you get as much as you do out of video review. Go and have a look. There is a video tab on all supplier pages. And with those, with companies like your good self, I think you've got 5 or 6 already on there. Joe Robinson, absolutely nailed on operator there, talking very lucidly, backing up everything you're talking about today. So it's almost as if it was just too convenient.
and rather than avoid the question, I will confirm that I have not had a haircut, and it's just been slicked back more and more, so you can't see the ponytail.
If you've got a mullet, I'm going to kick you off the show.
I'll just bring this up a little bit.
Yeah. And again, Gary says slick, which I'm assuming is about your patter rather than your hair, but we'll so obviously, look, you've got a huge amount of obviously products here. You've got obviously very satisfied clients, and let's be very honest. I know a lot of those businesses. They are not easy businesses to keep happy. And I think the fact that I know that, I think we brought them on together when I was there, and the fact that they're still with you talks absolute volumes about what you're doing for people.
The client retention rate is, we don't sort of really lose any clients, so that is true.
No churn. You're a bit like who's the woman that hobbles people? Anyway,
I don't know. Probably before my time.
Okay, never mind. Yeah. So you've got a load at the moment, but what have you got? Are there any new products you've got in the pipeline? What's going to happen there? I'm assuming that there's a roadmap, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously don't want to sort of add too much more to what we offer because, as you've seen, it is quite a sort of easy process to understand once people are working with but there are a lot of elements to it. So we're really looking at core elements of sort of what will add to our proposition. So, we'll soon have a photography element to add to our EPC floor plan offering. So that will bring that to play nicely, and we'll be able to promote that part of what we offer in a lot better way. The 28 sort of the fast track conveyancing element that we've now got as part of our conveyancing platform is really important to talk about, because I was on the sales progression webinar with you a couple of weeks ago, I think, and a big thing was talking about transaction times and how long it does take for people to get through to completion in a private treaty market. So with the auction service, we've learned a lot from the efficiencies that come through something like auctions, and by ordering that legal pack up front, once the vendor instructs the market, means that a lot of the work can be done up front, and that will significantly impact on the transaction time. So that's an easy add-on to our conveyancing service that people can instruct from the off and from today. And then we've got another product that we will again be launching quite soon, which is sort of again linking to our auction service, but bringing it into the living room and making it a little bit more sort of understandable and acceptable for vendors to get their head round in the living room from the outset, rather than think my property is not an auction property. So that's really excited to bring that to the market. So I can talk to anyone about that now that wants to sort of have a private conversation about it, but we will be officially launching that probably in the next week or two.
And of course, you'll be launching it on Kerfuffle first, won't you? Because otherwise...
Absolutely.
In many ways, I'm a vindictive and hateful lover.
Should we talk about the fact that we've both got exercise machines in the back of our... I mean, is yours used as little as mine?
Well, mine's got a TV, so that's how I watch, Okay, so just let's touch, obviously winding towards the end here, but what have you seen, how have you seen your clients change during this period, this lockdown period, and how do you think that's going to impact on them going forwards? I mean, clearly, I imagine it would have gone off the side of a cliff like it did for everyone there. How have you seen people adapt, though?
Well, we're lucky from the fact that, the type of agents that you've introduced us to in the past, we work with a really good standard of agent, often market leaders in their area. So, often there's been obviously furloughing of staff, but they've had staff that have still been kept busy and been able to take properties, not on in terms of going and visiting them, but, getting them to a point where they will instruct them at the right time. So they've definitely been active. I mean, the auctions piece that the online auction service that we operate, that was a big thing that we worked with our partners on over the period. So we were quite busy with them, looking at their existing pipelines, trying to transfer existing sellers onto using auction, the most motivated sellers that needed to get sold or needed to generate interest in this period. So, that again kept a lot of our partners busy in terms of having those conversations, picking them out, being available to help us get these properties sold. But generally, I think how it will work, and I think there's obviously staff and almost skeleton staff that are within offices now. Not everyone's back at work. I think to a point that will probably continue, where there won't be as much presence within branches. Yeah. There'll be more people out and about and spending time out and about, and maybe less staff, but looking for the highest caliber staff, paying them slightly more. I think, there'll be an element of that. But I think, in terms of what we offer and the ability to earn from these revenue streams, the revenue is going to be incredibly important for these businesses. So that they should either decide whether their existing staff are going to have the capacity to bring what we do into their pitch and refer whenever possible, or whether there's a role for someone or a team to be contacting people on the services we offer. That's going to have to be a decision, I think, that people make.
But that again goes back to the crux of this conscious of why it's so poor. You'll be familiar, as many agents will be, won't they? Whereby look, you can only really focus your team when they have so many other jobs as well on a few different things. So, if this month you want to have a focus on conveyancing, then normally financial services will go down. And it's a bit like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Next month you want to do mortgage services and conveyancing falls off the agenda. Now, if you're trying to do as many different services as you've done, you really are just going around.
Well, I think that's where the pitch of, let us refer you over to our home moving partner and they can talk about the services that they offer. So, or we can work with you on. So that simple one-liner pitch suddenly opens up 7 services and several referrals.
Yeah.
So that there's a simplicity behind what we do, but you're completely right. It's always the case where, a negotiator, a manager, the part of what they love doing is bringing on properties and getting them sold. That's the kind of cake behind that's the cake of their role. We provide the icing, and hopefully, the more icing, the better. But it can often be lost if things get busy and people get, they're chasing an instruction or they've got too many to deal with. It can be something that goes to the back of their mind. So process is key, and if people can't do it, then you either engage with us through an API or you have a person or a team that is fully targeted on what we offer and ancillary services.
Yeah, well, you've just mentioned my exercise machine, so please, and knowing that I'm a fat bastard, please don't mention icing again, because I'll start I'm drooling. I tell you what I'm going to do, Alex. I am going to challenge you. What I think would be fascinating to find out is what next time you come on, if you could try and collate what the different conversion ratios for leads for the subsidiary.
That was my doorbell. So I don't know whether that's the agent down the road trying to sign up or. But no. Yeah, so just tell me what you want to get.
But that would be really, really interesting. Is if you could show to us what the level of conversion of those leads are for the different things like surveys or financial services that your team gets on. I'm imagining and I'm surmising that it's going to be higher than for agents, because again, you're focused on it in a way that they aren't, and it's not like it's oh God, we've got to do this.
I think those businesses that have the process locked down and really build it into their business, often those leads might be stronger because of the nature of that agent and that client and how they've, the relationship that they've got. So if people can do that, then, that they might often lead to the highest conversion rates. But people aren't going to do that, or there's so, that we see it across all businesses. There's so many missed opportunities by just a forgetful week or someone being away, or just, they're chasing instructions, as I said before, that there needs to be a level of consistency. And from our side of things, we have, conversion rates that we work off and we see across the board that we can then template out what it should be worth to people if they send over X amount of referrals and work on our targeted approach. The guys that work for us, the team that work for us are fantastic. So, their referrals are definitely in safe hands if they come through to us, and that's the route they try to take.
Well, I've seen your operation. It's very impressive, especially the new one you're moving into to cater for all the growth you've got. And certainly, I think the key thing is, look, you're measuring those conversion ratios, not just hourly, but down to the minute, and making sure that they are hitting it. So that's the first part of it, isn't it? The old maxim of if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, and you are looking at all of those. So I think that's important. Again, just very conscious, we're kind of winding up now. I've mentioned all the good reviews you've got on the site already. What would you hope that your clients say about you as a business?
I think, I talk quite openly and often about the revenue we can bring agents. And obviously that's a key part of business and people's business. But the sort of feedback from customers, the feedback from staff about the customer service and the customer experience, I think, I hope and I think the reviews so far have said that there's an element of trust in terms of our business as well. They trust the people within the business, and whether that's good advice or us just being honest with them if they're not sort of sending over what they should, So a level of honesty, a level of trust, and the fact that the customer service and the feedback they get from their customers is of the highest standard. So those would generally be the things that I like to hear, alongside the fact that we're a massive, important part of their business in terms of what we earn them.
Yeah, okay. And some closing ones here. I mean, just to echo what you were saying and re-endorse it, Gary, again, 20k per month potential is equivalent to having an office, so it's a no-brainer. Well, we can both let him say that, and he's absolutely spot on.
It's a great point, because when you're actually looking at, if we look at that income and the amounts I've said, if you can translate that into what that could be worth in your business, whether that's, however many staff members or, it does bring it home of what that could mean to the business. So it's a really.
I think one of the things, though, just again, not to do my topper routine, but it's far more important than that, because to a large degree, a lot of this stuff, this revenue is going straight on the bottom line, isn't it? So it's not just revenue, it's actually profit, which is fantastic.
Absolutely right. And I think, whether it's with auctions, the sort of cash flows a lot quicker than it might be through private treaty. The fact that with our conveyancing times, what we're doing with the fast track conveyancing and just our general private treaty conveyancing, we're often sort of weeks quicker than a usual transaction as well. So people are getting that money sooner than they might do otherwise as well.
Excellent there. And Joe, again, reinforcing here again how it's worked for him, because I think he's had it used the previous firms he's been at. So consistency is 100% key. A win here or there won't get the excitement going to build that momentum, but when it's absolutely day in, day out, it will become it's bigger than the sum of the parts, won't it?
And I think so. I mean, just in terms of Joe, we work together, and we've worked together through a couple of businesses, and I think the thing with Joe is he would always reach out to me, and we had a relationship where we would, he'd flag something to me if a client needed contact, or if we needed to reduce the price on something. And the relationships like we have with that with business owners or managers are really key to sort of getting more deals over the line as well. That communication, I believe, with some suppliers, if they're too standoffish and just expect the business to come in and don't have that level of engagement, then people, especially with the fact we don't charge for our service, people could just choose not to use it. So those relationships and that communication is absolutely key, and means that consistency of referral and income should be there.
Yeah, and that's I mean, Joe's just one of those dream advocates, isn't he? He's a forward-thinking, operator, and he's one of those where when he goes into a new business and he sees that they're not using somebody like GOTO there, it's straight on the phone, isn't it? And it's like, not being funny, Alex. We're all salespeople. We want to overplay our hard ears. We shouldn't really be claiming our full commission, but I won't tell Nigel on
that. We'll stay on after this. I mean, I think just Joe proves the fact that we sort of we went on to another business to work together. We have that all the time with people leaving agencies, working in a new business, and then getting back in touch to say, look, can we, get registered on X, Y, and Z service that we worked with on before? That really does show that they've had a good experience and the relationship's there and has worked before. So why would again?
Yeah. So of course now is the you've had the 3 hour now. What are you doing for our wonderful Kerfuffle members? Because there's always a price you have to pay on this show. Well, certainly while the pubs aren't open. So can you just talk us through what you're able to do for anyone that's going to inquire and come to you?
I think what I would promote is the fact that I'll send my Calendly link, and I would like to offer 1 hour referral consultancy, looking at your business and calculating through the conversion rates we see and the expectation of what we should be able to earn you from ancillary services. It gives you an idea of, are you doing enough of a good job within your business currently, and what is that extra income that you could generate from tapping into the way we do it, or just hearing about how we do it and implementing in your business anyway. So, sort of more of those conversations would be great. And I think I'll come back to you with a bit more of a sort of an offer that's around increased income, or we've got a voucher.
Hang on, significantly increasing income.
Well, no, I'm talking about rewards. We've got a rewards platform. So if I come back to you about first month, we'll pay reward points on referrals rather than just banked income or something like that. I'll put something together. I'll come back to you by the end of the day, and then you can release that as well. I think that's an added bit that I'd like to get out there.
That'd be great. And I got all bashful now. That's really kind of you. So thank you. And I don't know what Joe's talking about here, but he says something about La Manga 2, which is, I mean, I don't know what he's on about there, so I'll just leave that there. For anyway, look, Alex, thank you very much for that. I'll just we will go back to everyone on there. We want to have you back on, obviously, to talk about all the other stuff and case studies. I think, from my point of view, the fact that they can essentially suck it and see the service that you do by just taking on board one aspect of what you have to offer, and then don't go in essentially balls deep as you have to. Try the bits of the business, and then as you feel more and more comfortable in line that with you, does make you seem like a bit of a no-brainer in terms of a company that they need to be talking to. I love the idea of raising the fees. We're always looking at ways, obviously, of doing that. As a fee defender, it's a fantastic tool to have in your kit bag. And of course, the fact that you're also in the ICG group, because I noticed Ian was on earlier and he'll bollock me if I don't say it. Obviously talks about the quality and the fact that you mentioned it before, you're very keen to work with other providers, which is what all agents want to see.
Yeah, and we've, the ICG group, we're sort of, it talks about bringing collaboration across suppliers, and we are actively working with 4 or 5 of the members in terms of crossover with products, how we can sort of help support their client bank versus vice versa. So, it's looking at ways that we can work together with other suppliers 100%. So the ICG has been fantastic for that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for today, Alex. That's absolutely fantastic. Thanks for the deal and all the updates on that. June the 22nd, I believe, is when the pubs are open, so we should reconvene there. We'll leave Gary to have the final word. Thank you for all your input, guys. That's great. It has been really, really good of you to engage so much as ever. And it says, great session, guys. Good to see you, Alex. Cheers, Simon. Thank you, everybody there. Up soon.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers, chaps. Bye-bye.
Bye.